So starting with few terminology, what is pH? pH is acidity of blood fluid in the terms of hydrogen ion concentration, and it is expressed as the pH, which is a negative log of hydrogen ion. Normal pH is 7.36 to 7.44. A normal pH of 7.4 corresponds to a normal H ion concentration of 40. This statement is important because when you are checking the validity of any ABG, you should know this magic figure of 40 at the pH of 7.4. Acidemia is absolute increase in the H ion and in the fall of pH. So once the H ion is increasing, pH will automatically fall. And alkalemia, there is a decrease in H ion, so pH will rise. Any doubt about it? No. So component of any ABG pH, it is measured of the acidity or alkalinity based on the hydrogen ion. We already discussed this. PO2 is a partial pressure of oxygen that is dissolved in the arterial blood. So PA2 is consist of the dissolved oxygen. It could be 80 to 100 millimeter of mercury. Normal circumstances, it can vary. PCO2 is amount of the carbon dioxide dissolved in the arterial blood, 35 to 45 millimeter mercury. Bicarb is a calculated value of the amount of the bicarbonate in the blood. It is 22 to 26 millimole per liter. And base excess indicates the amount of excess or insufficient level of the bicarb. So the value is -2 to +2 milliequivalent. Negative means there is a deficit, but we always express it in the term of base excess. So negative base excess means deficit, base deficit. So body has got certain inbuilt defense against the changes in hydrogen ion concentration, because body is a very smart thing. Any hydrogen ion changes are occurring, it can affect the metabolism and other thing in the body. So there is a chemical acid base buffer system. This buffer system reacts within a fraction of second to minimize these changes. So this is the fastest acting system, buffer system. Then the respiratory system, it reacts within few minutes to eliminate CO2 and therefore bicarb from the body. So if patient is going into metabolic acidosis, respiratory system is second to start compensating. Then comes the kidney. Kidney can eliminate excess acid or base from the body. It acts over period of hours to several days. By far it is the most powerful acid base regulatory system. It is the most powerful, but mind you, it is very slow in days. So metabolic acidosis, there is a primary decrease in the bicarb. Any doubt about it, this statement? No? Metabolic alkalosis, primary increase in the bicarb. Respiratory acidosis, primary increase in the CO2. Respiratory alkalosis, primary decrease in the CO2. So if you remember these four statements, 50% of the battle has already won. This is a basic physiology. Since hydrogen ion, this is the formula, is equal to 24 into PCO2 and this bicarb ratio. The stability of extracellular pH is determined by the stability of PCO2 and bicarb ratio. So it is going up, it is bound to go down. That is why this ratio, body tries to maintain this ratio to a static level. Maintaining a constant PCO2 and PO2 ratio will maintain a constant extracellular pH. Mind you, we are talking about what we are measuring is the extracellular, intravascular compartment. Okay. When the primary disorder is metabolic, that is a change in bicarb, the compensatory response is respiratory. So if there is a change in bicarb, body will try to change the PCO2, and vice versa. If there is a change in PCO2, body will try to change the ratio of bicarb. So these are the endpoint. Body tries to maintain an endpoint of constant PCO2 and bicarb ratio. So if we look at all the four disorders, respiratory acidosis, PCO2 is up, bicarb is up. That is why pH is changing. Respiratory alkalosis, PCO2 is down, bicarb is down. That is why pH is going up. Metabolic acidosis, bicarb is down, PCO2 is down. Metabolic alkalosis, bicarb is up, PCO2 is up. So coming to the stepwise approach of the solving acid-base disturbance. Step 1 is check for internal consistency of parameter, whether the sample has taken correctly, whether machine is calibrated or not. Many times sister is taking a wrong sample, machine is not calibrated properly and blah blah, and then you see a bizarre type of ABG, and many times we tend to jump to correct it. Step 2 is to identify acidemia, alkalemia or normal. So whether this gas is acidemic or alkalemic or normal. Step 3 is to identify the primary disturbance. So we have to identify whether respiratory or metabolic, which one is primary. Step 4 is for primary respiratory disturbance. Look at whether it's an acute respiratory disturbance or a chronic respiratory disturbance. Step 5 is for metabolic disturbance. Is the respiratory system is compensating or not compensating? Step 6 for metabolic acidosis, is there any increase in the anion gap or not? And step 7 for an increased anion gap metabolic acidosis, are there is other derangement or not? So if you remember these 7 steps, you can solve any riddle. So check for internal consistency by Henderson equation. This looks very complicated, but it's not so. As you can see, 24 is very easy to remember, and then you have to divide PCO2 by the bicarb, and this figure comes up 40, and this figure 40 stands for pH of 7.4. If my pH is changing, what will happen? So first calculate the PCO2 and bicarb in the HI. Then step 2, if the pH is changing, for every decrease in pH of 0.1, multiply the HI subsequently by 125. So if the pH is 1.3, multiply it. If pH is 1.2, so in first step multiply it with 0.1, then again multiply it with 0.1. For every 0.1 increase in the pH, multiply HI subsequently by 0.8. So if pH is coming down, multiply HI by 1.25. If pH is going up, multiply it by 0.8. Match the hydrogen ion both in A and B. If matches, then ABG is valid. We will discuss with an example. Step 2 is assess the pH, whether it is a acidemic or alkalemic. If it is above than 7.45, it is alkalotic. If below 7.35, it is acidotic. So what is the primary disturbance? As you can see in this picture, in respiratory, the pH and PCO2, they go opposite to each other. So assess the PCO2 level. pH decrease below 7.35, the PCO2 should rise if it is a respiratory problem. If pH rises above the 7.45, PCO2 should fall. If pH and PCO2 moves in the opposite direction, the primary problem is a respiratory problem. What happens in the metabolic? They become friends. So they move in the same direction. Assess the bicarb value. If pH increases, the bicarb should also increase here. If pH decreases, bicarb also should go down. They are moving in the same direction, so you can know that metabolic is the primary problem. Coming to the third entity, once you have decided it's a primary thing is respiratory, then how to move ahead. So look at the respiratory acidosis. It is defined as a pH less than 7.35 with a PO2 greater than 45, PCO2 greater than 45 millimeter of mercury. The causes you all know: respiratory center depressions, neuromuscular disorder, upper airway obstruction, and pulmonary diseases. Respiratory alkalosis is defined as a pH greater than 7.45 with a decrease in PCO2 level. So these are the causes. What is this? CHAMPS, CNS disease, hypoxia, anxiety, mechanical ventilation, progesterone, and sepsis. They can cause the decrease in PCO2 and increase in the pH to alkalosis. Now coming to the metabolic acidosis. So primary, there are only 4 things. So easy. Metabolic acidosis, alkalosis, respiratory acidosis and alkalosis. Only 4 entity and then something mixed. So metabolic acidosis, bicarb less than 22 millimole per equivalent per liter with a pH of less than 7.35. We'll discuss in next few slides how you can see it. Metabolic alkalosis, bicarb more than 26 milliequivalent per liter with a pH of more than 45. So both are moving in the same direction. Excess of base oblique loss of acid can cause this type of problem. Can be defined as a saline responsive or unresponsive. I will discuss this in the next slide. Urinary chloride has to be checked for this. So if urinary chloride is more than 20 milliequivalent per liter, the causes could be Cushing syndrome, mineralocorticoid excess, and potassium depletion. If urine chloride is less than 20 milliequivalent per liter, it could be loss of gastric acid, use of diuretic, vomiting, nasogastric suction, post hypercapnia, and diarrhea. These are the common causes. So step 4, if primary disturbance is respiratory, determine whether it is a acute or chronic. So respiratory acidosis, acute acidosis, for every 10 increase in the PCO2, bicarb will increase by 1 and there is a decrease of 0.08 in pH. Okay, so if PCO2 is 50, the bicarb should increase by 1 and change in pH should be decrease should be 0.08. In chronic, for every 10 increase in the PCO2, bicarb increases by 3 and there is a decrease of 0.03 in pH. What happens in the respiratory alkalosis? Acute, for every 10 increase in the PCO2, bicarb decreases by 2 and there is an increase of 0.8 in pH. So in acute both are 0.08. In chronic, for every 10 decrease in the PCO2, bicarb decreases by 4 and there is an increase of 0.03 in pH. So if I had to sum up, in respiratory acidosis, bicarb goes up by 1 in acute for 10 PCO2 up, 3 in chronic for 10 PCO2. Respiratory alkalosis, bicarb goes down 2 in acute for 10 PCO2 down and 4 in chronic for 10 PCO2 down. So you can remember this formula. For the respiratory compensation calculation, everything is in the units of 10 mmHg of PCO2. You just have to remember 4 numbers and remember that it starts with acute respiratory acidosis. So like this 1, 3, 2 and 4 you can remember. Step 4, for a metabolic disturbance, is the respiratory system compensating or not? That is what we would like to know. So you can use the Winter's formula. It is PCO2 equivalent to 1.5 into bicarb plus 8 plus minus 2. PCO2 should be the last 2 digit of the pH. Metabolic alkalosis, PCO2 is 0.7 into bicarb plus 21 plus minus 2 and again last 2 digit of the pH. Step 6, is there metabolic acidosis? Then what is the anion gap? It is an estimate of relative abundance or of unmeasured anions. It is used to determine if a metabolic acidosis is due to accumulation of the non-volatile acid or a net loss of the bicarb. So it could be because of 2 reasons: non-volatile acids which we are not able to measure and the net loss of the bicarb. So unmeasured cation plus sodium is equal to chloride plus bicarb plus unmeasured anion. So anion gap is unmeasured anion minus unmeasured cation is equal to sodium minus chloride plus bicarb, which is equal to 12. So this is a normal anion gap. After calculating observed anion gap in metacidosis, calculated the adjusted anion gap. Adjusted anion gap is what? Observed anion gap, which we have calculated, plus 2.5 into multiplied by 4 minus serum albumin. So in those patients who are having hypoalbuminemia, we can adjust the anion gap by using this formula. High anion gap metabolic acidosis, everybody knows the Mudpillar, methanolol, uremia, chronic uremia, diabetic ketoacidosis, formaldehyde poisoning, isoniazide overdose, lactate high ethanol and ethylene glycol poisoning, rhabdomyolysis, renal failure and salicylates. Non-anion gap metabolic acidosis is hard ups, hyperalimentation, acetazolamide, renal tubular acidosis, diarrhea, enterocutaneous fistulas, uremia, acute post-ventilation hypocapnia, and saline infusion, which is causing hyperchloremic metabolic acidosis. So overzealous saline infusion. So coming to the step 7, when high anion gap metabolic acidosis is present, calculate the delta gap or gap. Delta gap is necessary to look for coexistence of 2 metabolic acid based disturbances. So delta gap is what? Delta anion gap minus delta bicarb. So delta gap is patient's gap minus 12, that becomes the delta anion gap, and delta bicarb becomes the 24 minus the patient's bicarb. So if it is more than 6 milliequivalent per liter, it is a metabolic alkalosis. If it is less than 6 milliequivalent per liter, it is a non-anion gap metabolic acidosis. Then you can calculate a gap ratio as well. So anion gap excess divided by the CO2 with the bicarb deficit. This becomes the gap ratio. So delta gap, if this ratio is less than 1, then there is a coexistence of normal anion gap metabolic acidosis like in DK. If this is more than 1, then coexistence of the metabolic alkalosis is there. So coming to a case, 42-year-old man was brought to ER after he was found lying in an alley with an empty liquor bottle nearby. On examination, BP is okay, heart rate is little tachycardic, respiratory rate is little high, temperature is normal. He was unresponsive, pupil minimally reactive to light, fundus normal, bibasilar crackles are there. DTR, deep tendon reflex are brisk and symmetric, and plantar normal. Labs are pH 7.1, PCO2 35, PO2 90. So just remember these three values. Sodium is 145, potassium is 5, chloride is 97, bicarb is 12, burn is 3, creatinine is 1.5, glucose is 110. Lactate is 1, ketones are negative, salicylate negative, urine microscopy, calcium oxalate crystals are there. So step 1. A method, how to calculate HIN. So this 24 into what? What is 35? PCO2. What is 12? It is 70. B method, 40 into 1.25 because pH changes is there. So pH has changed 0.3. Okay. Look at the pH. Okay. So every time we multiply 0.1.5, 50 or 50 multiplied 1.25 and this. So 78 and 70. So they are almost similar. So we'll take it as a valid ABG. So ABG is valid. Step 2, pH is 7.1. So it is what? Acidemia. Step 3, pH and PCO2 both are in the same direction. So the primary disorder is Step 4, is it required or not? Step 4 is there for respiratory. So if it is metabolic, we can omit the step 4. Respiratory compensation, PCO2 1.5 into 12 plus 8 plus minus 2, 26 plus minus 2. So actual PCO2 is 35. So is associated with what? Respiratory acidosis. Step 6, anion gap 145 minus 12 plus 97 is 36. So what is this 12? What is this 145? Just for revision. Sodium value? Bicarb and chloride. So it is 36. So there is a high anion gap metabolic acidosis. Step 7, delta gap. Anion axis, anion gap axis minus bicarb deficit. So now what patient have? High anion gap metabolic acidosis plus respiratory acidosis plus metabolic acidosis, alkalosis. Any doubt in this 3 steps? Case 2, 37-year-old woman presents to the emergency ward with a history of nausea and recurrent vomiting. 3 days. She is also gave a history of having taken several tablets of aspirin for the relief of joint pain before experienced nausea. Her ABG is as follows. pH is 7.56. As you can see, the nausea is vomiting is happening. So she is losing. PCO2 is 32. Bicarb is 33. Will interpret the findings. Step 1. 24 into 32 by 33. So it equal to sorry, step 2, 40 into 0.8. This is 25. So it is valid, no doubt about it. Step 2, alkalosis. pH and PCO2 are in same direction. That becomes the metabolic thing. Step 5, what should be the CO2? 0.7 into 33 plus 21 plus minus 2 is equal to 44 plus minus 2. So what it is? Respiratory alkalosis. So final diagnosis is metabolic alkalosis with respiratory alkalosis. It should be the last case. 62-year-old male with COPD presents with breathlessness and fever. pH is 7.25, PCO2 is 80, PO2 is 80, PCO2 is 34, PO2 is 39. Sorry. pH is 7.25, PCO2 is 80, PCO2 is 34, PO2 is 39, saturation is 54. Pulse is 130, blood pressure is 130 by 110, temperature is febrile and tachypneic. TLC is high, sodium is 139, bicarb is 36, chloride is 89, potassium is okay. So A method, calculate the H ion, it comes around 56. B method, 40 into 1.25 is 50, 50 into 1.25, 62. So it's almost equal. We can say it's a valid. Step 2, is it acidosis? Yes. Step 3, pH and PCO2 in opposite direction. So it is a respiratory acidosis. Look at the 4, acute or chronic. Remember 1, 3, 2, 4 starting with the respiratory acidosis. So what you say? It is acute or chronic? Chronic. So interpretation is chronic respiratory acidosis with metabolic acidosis. One more case. I've got 6 minutes, so don't worry. A 44-year-old moderately dehydrated man was admitted to a 2-day history of acute severe diarrhea. Electrolyte results are sodium is 134, potassium is 2.9, chloride is 108, bicarb is 16, Bun is 31, creatinine is 1.5. ABG shows pH of 7.31, PCO2 of 33, bicarb of 16 and PO2 of 93 millimeter of mercury. So what is the acid-base disturbance in this patient? What do you think about the validation? Is valid, as you can see. Step 2, what do you feel about step 2? Come on. Acidosis. Step 3, pH and PCO2 are moving in the same direction, so it is metabolic. Don't need to go for step 4, go to step 5. Anion gap is 134, sodium minus, what is this? Chloride plus bicarb. So it's a 10. So it's a non-anion gap. Final diagnosis is non-anion gap metabolic acidosis, probably due to diarrhea. Thank you very much.